Alright, what's poppin' there, YouTube? I'm trying to get consistent, like I said, mess around with these cameras. Again, I got like 5 or 6 screens going here. 2, 4, 5. Yep, I have a 6 portable one, but I don't have it up here. So 5 screens in total here. I got the 2 cameras going in the office. I may be moving soon, so maybe updating this. Put a cool green screen background here, maybe. As well. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, that's not what I see on my end. But basically, I hope everyone had a great weekend, and we're gonna get into this here. My goal is gonna try to pump out, like a what Monday video, maybe like a midweek video, and then like a weekend recap video, going over different random shit, and then obviously pepper in some trade ideas or what have you throughout the week or YouTube Shorts. So again, I'm trying to bring as much value as I can at free 99. I don't need your money. I make money actually trading, unlike most, it seems. So I'm not trying to sell you a service. We could be friends though. But anyways, let's get into this. So here's the S&P 500. You could see it kept hitting its head. It tried to break out here back in December, and then it finally broke out. And now we're holding above that with the moving averages, the fast moving averages as well, holding as well. We did have a lot of news come out, but the markets just continue to ignore any news. That doesn't matter because all they hear is Jerome Powell and the Fed is going to print money out of thin air and buy assets. And when that happens, you have like an out. So the markets ain't going to go down, or they can't really go down with the Fed printing money out of thin air, buying assets, throwing them into the markets and giving it to banks. So then the banks are able to lend. But Trump is doing a lot of weird shit. It doesn't make sense. Most of it's just probably to talk, because, he always usually tacos, which it is what it is. Like he says it, and then everyone forgets, but nothing ever happens. I know those Epstein files are also on the list. So that's going to disrupt some things in his world as well, and his admin. We got midterms, so there's a lot of bullshit happening. But yet, volatility doesn't seem to give a fuck. So we cannot get vol to get bids. I mean, it tried to gap up here today. Open up and got all the way here. So we opened here, tried to go higher, and then it closed at the low of the day volatility. But it's holding its moving averages and making a higher low. So, prices cannot get much higher, in my opinion, on the SPY or any stock here without volatility. We need a washout. There's no one left to sell because nobody's selling, but there's also no one left to buy. So you're not getting these big moves, and you're not going to get these big order flow moves because everyone's already long. Like the NAIA, whatever, the sentiment indicators, most people are at 98%, 85%, 99% long. So if all those people are long, who's left to buy? And no one's going to buy until you get a pullback to give them the opportunity. But so far it's not coming and hasn't, but, rug pulls is what happens. Not saying we're going to get a black swan, but, you're just slowly bending higher after going up. You just are going sideways now, bending higher, and we haven't had a deep pullback, like I said, all year. And this is the SPY, which is the most popular traded ETF out there, the 500 stocks, but it's really only freaking 7 stocks because 493 stocks are doing jack shit like usual. So 5 to 7 stocks have been carrying this market all of last year, and basically since here when Trump tacoed here, and then we just went straight up since. And then every time we get some volatility, it just doesn't follow through because either the Fed will print money like they have been and just save everybody. So we're getting this stick save from the Fed, which is great if you're long. But again, longer term, this is really bad. It's just kicking the can, and people are going to be screwed royally down the road. Right here, all these are called VPOCs. So right here, these are basically, let me delete this. And I don't want to get this video too long, so I'm already fucking pumping. But we have unfinished business all below down here. So this is price has memory. So price will start to tag some of these once we get some downside. And I like to use these as targets to cover my shorts or to buy these actual strikes right here. around those strikes to buy some puts to then look to take profit if we tag those. So all these red lines are unfinished business, meaning price was there and it gapped up and we never went back to revisit it. It's a good volume. So it's a good volume. It's called volume point of control. And these are called virgin points of control, meaning price has not came back and tagged these. For example, we have one right here on this market, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Here we go. Here we go. All right, perfect. So here you could see, so here's the one I have tagged right here from this day. So meaning what this means is price traded all through here, closed, and then we gapped up. And then we have the red line here, which is the fairest price to do business each day. So you could see this red line here was never pulled back and tagged. So price has a memory, and this will pull back, who knows when. It's not if, it's just when, and then test that, essentially. But for context, I have quite a few of these down here that I have tagged. And these are all from days where price had the VPOC, just like I showed you, and has yet to pull back to revisit it. So there's why I also think some sort of pullback is in order, maybe 10%, 15%, not like the big correction that's coming, I think, later in 26, maybe 27 if we don't get it, but some sort of pullback to take the froth off. Again, you're not going to go out to all-time highs without filling in some of these VPOCs and structure down here. It's just how markets work. So again, I'm net long, but still cautious because, again, what I've just showed you, it could be imminent where this occurs. So the last thing you want to do is be loading the boat at prone highs thinking you're going to break out, and then we flush 10%. Again, if you have a long-term hold, you can get back in and keep buying. So, who cares? But, it does depend on your risk, the size, etc., hold time, and how you're, looking to, skin the cat. So anyways, that's SPY. We just go up. No matter what happens, we just go up. Volume is very thin here. You can see the momentum is also, not supporting this high. So even though price made a new high, the volume isn't really high as well supporting that. I mean, it's average. And the momentum, you can see the momentum here is right here, down here, is making lower highs. So it's a divergence. Usually if this was a strong breakout and buyers were going to step in, this momentum would be looking to clear above this high and this high. And again, as you could see, momentum did not make a new high. Here's momentum's high, and here's the momentum's now high with price. So that's called just like a little bit of divergence up in that mix. So again, it's just a tool for the tool belt. It doesn't mean you can't go higher, but it basically says this is not a strong rally breakout just based off this. Not my opinion. Fuck my opinion. Here's emerging markets, which this is mostly China, which China is kicking ass. I am building quite a bit of long delta in China via many different assets. Queb is one. CQQ is another. CQQQQ is another. Look at these bad boys. I'm loving it. And then single name China exposure is Baba, of course, Ripon. What else is there? Baidu. Ripon. Baidu got a little bit of head start on the rest, but the rest are catching up. And then there's XPEV, which is another that I'm in and looking to just keep on building long delta in. So China looks like it's ready to play. The exceptionalism trade maybe here finally where people are selling U.S. equities to go buy international equities because U.S. equities are way overvalued relative to the others. So it's a bubble, and we all know that. It's just a matter of if, not when it's going to pop. So again, if you're not buying China, you better get after it. If we move on to bonds, which are another important role, which the smartest traders in the room are the bonds, and you can see I have this going up means this, going down means that. So far we're just in no man's land, but we're trying to build structure and make higher lows to push higher. And if this rallies, that would mean there's a growth scare out there, which definitely there's no growth out there. All we're doing is printing money, going into more debt, to pay down our debt. It's like we're going into debt to pay current debts. Fuck the future debts. That's the Ponzi scheme that we all live in with the central banks. It's kind of ridiculous when you really think about it. So bonds flat, S&P kind of trying to go higher, emerging markets ripping face, and then we have the dollar, which everyone was bearish the dollar. I was long the dollar, covered it, and now I was anticipating some weakness as well, which never I don't know why these trend lines get fucked up like this, which never came. I mean, they tried to sell the dollar down here and it said nope, here's a low, higher low, and then it just rocketed. But again, I'm mixed, because just as easily as this can keep going up, it could flush back down. So right now I don't really have a bias on the dollar. Of course, gold, this is just all speculative now in my opinion. I mean, all the smart money sold out back here. You could see these big volume bars. But then this is when it got popular on Wall Street Bets and whatever, the Reddit kids, I should say, whatever. And then they pumped this bad boy back up. But again, just like I showed you before, look at the volume. The volume is not, making new highs with price, and neither is momentum. Again, these are just little tells to give me context. So I'm actually short gold and silver, and I'm planning to short more, but being patient, because again, I'm trying to pick a top. So I'm not going in full size here, knowing that I could go up, especially with silver, because it's just fucking ridiculously overly speculated where, you don't want to be, shorting big size here relative, because it's just, you don't know when it's going to end. But the pot odds favor a big correction of at least 10 to 20%, in my opinion, on this asset, silver, because it's literally like maybe two and a half, 2 sigmas, 2 standard deviations easy from its mean. And most of the time when an asset will get stretched from 1 standard deviation or even 2 or more, it will revert back. And that's how I'm playing the silver and the gold, is mean reversing shorts. But so far, it's not coming, but we will see when it comes. On IBIT, again, I've been long this. I've been making YouTube shorts and YouTube videos about long Bitcoin all throughout in this area. And so far, I still have the same bias, because we're holding these lows and we're not breaking down. So Bitcoin may finally get a bid. But I mean, shit's crazy out there. I don't know how Bitcoin is not rallying with gold or silver or with QQQ, because usually it functions the same with risk off and risk on. I mean, with the Qs, with high beta, whatever, QQQ, Nasdaq, high flying tech stocks. So far, not happening. But again, I like that it's not going lower and it's building value down here. So I believe this is going to go up higher, and that's how I'm playing it. I'm long a lot of cryptos and crypto ETFs. Ripple has an ETF, Ether has an ETF, Sol, I'm in a Sol T ETF right here, 2X as well. So I'm in a lot of long delta with crypto, which is kind of like a pseudo, again, usually a proxy for long stocks, but it hasn't been for 6 months in the US with Bitcoin and QQQ. They've been moving, not together like usually are. And then here's oil. I am building longs in oil as well. I mean, look at this. This looks very pretty. Where we have this trend line about to break. We have a higher low. I have the buy signal printing on my system. We have a bullish engulfing this shooting star at highs. It's still a mixed bag, and oil, of course, is very volatile. But, if oil can do one of these bad boys, and I know you've seen this move, if I draw it, pull up, pull back, and go, this is where I want to be, basically pressing my oil position to get at full size and then see how far this fucker can run. But till then, we have to sit on our hands and wait, because we're not getting the move yet. But again, I am been buying all back in here and bought more today, anticipating this to go higher. But again, nobody ever knows. Most of the time it's a 50-50 bet, unless you're using options, but still your direction is always, up or down, and it's pretty much a coin flip. And then lastly, here's commodities, which are also kind of in like a no man's land, but are looking primo to possibly break out here. And I don't know why the fuck that keeps happening with my trend lines, but we'll draw this one here like this, unless there was a split or something, or things got moved. But anyways, here's commodities, which you can see this is basically coffee, cattle, corn. So this gives you a good x-ray of how food prices are moving. Big companies are, hedging their spot price, and then how things are moving relative to the other asset classes. So I've tried to divide this into the top asset classes that are usually not correlated. You have U.S. equities, you have emerging market equities, which is mostly just China and Brazil, but mostly just China. You have American bonds, which these are like 20, 30-year bonds. To give a context on interest rates, the dollar is important, even though it's not too traded. The FX world is massive, but that's usually spot FX. And then we have gold, of course, which is another asset. Usually it doesn't do shit, but it's had a great couple years. Usually it's just dormant and boring and lame. And then we have IBIT, just to get that crypto exposure, and they tabs on that. Oil, of course, which matters. I do trade natural gas and other things, but again, these are just the main broad markets that I track. And then I go top down, and then I go under the hood of each of these to figure, okay, what's moving. And then, because under that, there's different companies, there's different sectors and ETFs, etc., that you could use to then get exposure, or I'll even build a basket. I've been building some different baskets. I'll look to share that on different streams, where I'm just buying a basket of things and it automatically disperses it through the broker, and I don't have to think about it. And I can update the weights, do this, whatever, rebalance accordingly, but I'm not really touching that shit. Just set it and forget it. So anyways, we do have to see what we're going to get for the rest of the week. Let me see what we have on the econ calendar. Where do I keep that at? Right here. So tomorrow we have a big day of CPI. So this could be what the big thing the market's waiting for, or it could ignore it like everything. But tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern time, we should get more of a basis or a price path, I guess, more context, more information to know. And then we have new home sales, which this isn't a big market mover, or maybe it's delayed. I don't fucking know with the government shit. It's a mess. But they lie, manipulate the data anyway, so it is what it is. I mean, it's bad out there for 80-90% of folks, except for the 10%ers or less who, they chose to save them over the working class. So Wall Street chose to be saved over working class, and now we're here. And maybe it'll get better for them, but it's only going to get worse for 80-90% of Americans, unless wage growth expands, which it's not going to expand. And housing and credit card debt, all that's not going anywhere. That's just more lies and kicking the can, in my opinion. So yeah, tomorrow could be fireworks. So we'll have to come back Wednesday or maybe tomorrow and see where we stand. Because this could want to rip higher on the SPY, and we're going to go up off to the races. Or that CPI figure right here at 8:30 is going to monkey wrench everything and create the volatility we need, which again, I believe we're going to get some sort of volatility to test either this or this. But we need to get a big drop to come back to wash out people, like I said in the earlier in the video, to get fresh money coming in and new money longs. We have a lot of old business, not new business, and it needs to be shuffled and cycled through. But anyways, if you have any questions, holler in the comments. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Peace.